Welcome to today's episode on Identity Synchronization and Federation in Azure. In this session, we will cover how Azure Entra ID Connect will synchronize your on-premises Active Directory users with Azure Entra ID, also known as Azure AD. The benefits of federation as well, we will discuss that. And the advantages of SSO, that is single sign-on. So let's dive into the world of identity management, specifically in hybrid cloud environment. Let's begin with Azure AD Connect. Now you will call it Azure Entra ID Connect. For synchronization of on-premise Active Directory usernames, their password hashes with Entra ID. Now, what is the purpose? Well, this agent will actually ensure that your on-premises Active Directory is synchronized with Entra ID, providing a single identity for users across both on-prem and cloud infrastructure. This synchronization is essential for managing user access in hybrid environments specifically. Now, some key features. Well, the first one is user and group synchronization. Well, this agent, that is Azure AD Connect, now it is called Entra ID Connect, it actually syncs users, groups, and also contacts from on-premises Active Directory to Azure Entra ID, ensuring consistent access to cloud resources. Now, you can also enable or disable if you don't want it, but the service is there. The service is called PHS, Password Hash Synchronization. With PHS, users can use the same password to ensure that they have access both on-prem and for cloud resources, providing a seamless experience. Here, the password hashes are also synced from on-prem to Azure. The next one is federation. This is also a key feature. Here, your agent, that is Entra ID Connect, also supports ADFS, Active Directory Federation Services, which allows SSO, that is single sign-on, across on-premises and Azure resources, enabling user to access both environments with just one login. Is there any other key feature? Yes. Hybrid identity. With Azure AD Connect or Entra ID Connect, you can create a hybrid identity, ensuring a consistent user experience across cloud and on-prem resources. Users can access both environments without the need of multiple login. That is also the meaning of SSO. Installation and configuration. Well, the setup is super simple. Using this agent, you can simply download it and install it. The wizard is also straightforward, which allow you to even customize your sync rules or synchronization rules, as well as the filters, such as syncing only a specific user or group of users or a specific OU. You can also filter it. Security and compliance. Well, Azure AD Connect or Entra ID Connect enforce security policies and ensure compliance by synchronizing access control across both cloud and on-prem environments. Now let's move on to federation with third-party identity providers such as ADFS. So what is the purpose of this? Well, federation enables secure authentication across Azure Entra ID and third-party identity providers like your old-school on-prem ADFS or even Google, Apple, or Facebook's, now called Meta's, own IAM solution. This setup allows user to sign in seamlessly to both cloud and on-prem resources using their own on-prem identities or a third-party platform identities. So what are the key features? Well, the first one is federated authentication. Users authenticate through their on-premises identity provider, let's say ADFS running on-prem, and gain access to Azure services without needing to remember a separate credential. Even MFA, multi-factor authentication, can be added on top of it, which adds an extra layer of security. So even using a federated service, MFA will still be applied. Customizable policies. Well, you can apply specific sign-in policies for different users or applications, ensuring that access control is tailored to your organization scenario or needs. Why use ADFS? Like, why? There are some benefits for that. The first one is quite obvious: seamless user experience. Think about QoS, quality of service. Here, users can sign in once and then access resources across both on-prem and cloud environments, eliminating the need for multiple login credentials or the management of multiple login credentials. There's no need for that. The next major advantage is centralized management. User identities, or UPNs, and access can be managed from a single source, a unified platform, providing a unified location such as Azure for controlling access to both cloud and on-prem resources. How about configuration? Well, to configure federation, you'll need to set up an ADFS server for federation with Entra ID. Or you must have a federated account on a third-party platform such as Google, Meta, X, even GitHub. And then you can move forward and connect them. Now, let's discuss the benefit of identity federation and SSO, specifically single sign-on. Well, the first one is simplified user experience. User, again, I'm repeating the same thing, which is a recap for you. But remember, this concept is simple, but it is a core concept of cloud service. Here, users authenticate once and gain access to multiple applications without having to log in again, enhancing productivity and convenience. The next is improved security. Well, federation reduces this password fatigue and the risk of weak or reused passwords again and again. And on top of it, enabling MFA for added security will be awesome. Centralized identity management. We already talked about it. So you or your organization can manage user identities across both on-prem and cloud environments, ensuring a consistent access policies and single source of truth for user data. That simply means a single source of trust. That is your Entra on top. Cost efficiency, of course. By reducing your help desk call related to forgotten password or managing multiple identities and minimizing administrative overhead, here, Azure ecosystem, with the help of features like SSO, single sign-on, helps reduce cost associated with user identity management practices. Seamless integration. Well, if you have configured it correctly, then it is seamless. Here, it simply means that identity federation and SSO, single sign-on, can easily integrate with Entra ID and third-party identity providers as well, creating a very smooth user experience across your hybrid environment. But the catch is, you have to do the configuration right. Enhanced compliance. Well, federation and SSO help meet security and compliance requirements by enforcing access control and providing detailed audit logs, ensuring that only authorized users access these sensitive resources in your Azure cloud environment. And all that will be managed from your single unified dashboard or platform, that is Azure. Now let's move to the lab, where we will see how easy it is to actually create this sync process. So let's start. All right, so let's check out how synchronization works in Azure, especially for hybrid situations. So over here, I have my Azure portal all logged in and ready. I will go to Entra, and under Manage, if you go to Microsoft Entra Connect, and then click on Connect Synchronization, here you will see that the synchronization has never ran. So nothing is being synchronized with this Entra ID or this tenant specifically. So let's do that. If I move to my on-prem workstation, this is actually a VM running on my host machine, and this virtual machine is running a Windows Server operating system. So this machine will behave like my on-premises server. Over here, I can also download the client directly from Google, or you can go to your Entra ID in your Azure portal, click on Manage, then go to Microsoft Entra Connect, Connect Sync, and you can download Microsoft Entra Connect from here. In both cases, you will be redirected to the actual Microsoft Entra, sorry, not Microsoft Entra, the Microsoft homepage. Please download this software from Microsoft. Don't download this from any third-party vendor. So I will download it over here and save it. Now, this client can be saved on the same server running your Active Directory service, or it can be a separate server as well. You just need to remember that this client, the Microsoft Entra Connect version 2 client, must have a line of sight to Azure as well as your on-prem AD. All right, so download is complete. Let's go ahead and go to Downloads and install this client. Now remember, if you are using old Microsoft Server operating system, you may have to enable TLS 1.2, as you can see it here. But if you're using Server 2025, then this will be okay. You can just move forward. But the nice thing is, how to enable this encryption protocol, Microsoft is actually helping you. So if you go to this hyperlink, it will take you to the page, TLS 1.2 enforcement for Microsoft Entra Connect. You scroll down. Basically, what we need to do is this. PowerShell script to enable TLS. So copy it. By the way, you can also use this script to check if the TLS is enabled or not. Might be important for troubleshooting. I will copy this one to enable it and just go to PowerShell. All right, so TLS 1.2 has been enabled. Once this is done, just close it and run this again. You can run the download files as well, the setup file. As you can see, the TLS 1.2 prerequisite is actually done with. Now we can move ahead with the installation wizard. Agree to the EULA, the license. Click Next. I have to use express settings. I'm not getting the option. You also have to make sure that you have on-prem service running. So I also have to install my AD service over here. So I will just pause the video and install my domain services on this machine. So I promoted this machine, and now this is actually my domain. I called my domain onprem.com. So now my directory is running, my domain is up and active. Let's run the AD Connect now. And here we go. We have the Use Express Setting option now. I'll click on it. Over here, you have to enter the credential of your cloud admin or someone with the right privileges. So this will be your cloud UPN, user principal name, and then you will enter your domain admin UPN over here. So let me just add it. Click Next, and then it will validate your credential, so you have to enter your password. Once validated, it will move to the next one. Over here, you have to enter your domain admin UPN. Oh, sorry. NCOT admin and a password. All right, maybe my domain name is different. Yeah, my password was wrong. So now it is done, and this is my domain, and it is not added. So I will just say, yes, let's add it, and don't worry about matching the UPN suffix. And over here, you can decide, do you just want to install this Connect client, or do you also want to initiate the synchronization? If you click over here and click on install, then it will initiate the sync. Now, before I do that, let me go ahead and create a test user in on-prem directory. So I'm just going to create just a random user here. Create user. I'll call this user on-prem user 01. So this will be my test user, on-prem user. Paste it here. Next. Expires. Password will be 4. All right. Next and finish. So I have one test user. So let's install and initiate the synchronization process. Remember, it depends on how many users or how many entities you have. The synchronization process can take some time. So I will let it finish, and then I will move back to my Azure portal, and eventually you will see that on-prem user over here on cloud. And that user can also log in to all the cloud services moving forward, because that user became the part of your Entra infrastructure. So I will just wait here, let the sync process finish. All right, the sync is complete. Let's check out our Entra ID over here, on-prem user. And here you go, on-prem user 1. Don't worry about this one, because the client will actually create separate identities on Azure. So this UPN gives this client privilege to sync the user on Entra ID. So this is my user. And now this user can log in, log out, and do whatever this user wants to do. So this is how the synchronization works. If you go to Microsoft Entra Connect, here again, just wait for a while, you sync, you should see that your sync status will be changed. Go back. It might take some time. So once you start the synchronization process, remember the overall process can take maybe like 20-30 minutes. Here we go. So the sync status is enabled. Last sync less than 1 hour ago, maybe like 5-10 minutes ago. And the sync is active. Now, if you want to terminate this sync, you can also do that, but Azure sometimes do not allow to terminate the sync right away. You may have to wait for 12 hours or at least 1 day to terminate the sync. All right, now let's check out how to terminate the sync. So as you can see in my Entra ID, my synchronization process is still running. And at regular intervals, the agent will make sure the Entra Connect V2, that software, you can also call the software an agent, it will make sure to run the synchronization process in a set frequency. And how you will terminate it? Well, to terminate that sync process, you can just go to your PowerShell. Basically, you have to connect with Microsoft 365 services, and then you will terminate the sync. I will show you the script. If you have not installed the MS, Microsoft Online Service module on your PowerShell, then you first have to run this command to install it. Once installed, you will connect with your MS services. You may have to, not may actually, you definitely have to present your credentials there. So I already installed the module. Now I will just connect with the services. Again, I will use my account. All right, I'm connected. And then I will just run this command. Over here, false means disable. If you say true, then Azure will start the sync process again. It will ask you, do you really want to terminate the sync? Say yes and hit enter. Now, don't worry about this error. I just finished my synchronization process, so it will not allow me to disable it. I have to wait for 1 day. But you will use the same step, and after 1 day or 24 hours, you will run this script, and when you say yes, your sync will be disabled. After that, you can just delete the client software or this agent software from your server, and you will be good to go. Welcome back. I hope now you know what this agent or this software looks like. Please remember to download it from the Azure, the trusted platform. Once you install this agent, then you just have to follow the steps, create a line of sight, and the sync will start. Now we can summarize this whole episode. So to summarize it, or to wrap up this episode, I will say that Identity Synchronization and Federation in Azure provide a very seamless integration between on-premises Active Directory and Entra ID, enabling awesome services like SSO, single sign-on, plus hybrid identity. Tools like Azure Entra Connect and ADFS help synchronize users, group, and credentials across both environments. Federation with third-party identity provider adds more flexibility and security by also enabling MFA and offering customizable sign-in policies. So thank you for joining this episode today. I hope this episode was clear, and I will see you in the next episode. Stay tuned, and good luck for your qualification for your career. Take care.